DP, you're unmuted. Can you hear me?
Hello, ma'am.
Wait. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, start then. I'm going to close my video, okay? I'm going to just talk to you. DP, start. All right, so we were talking about, is everyone able to hear me? DP, are you able to hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I want slide 4 to be there. Slide number 4. DP, are you setting it?
Yeah, just
So we were talking about drying and dehydration. Both the terms drying and dehydration mean removal of water. The former term is generally used for drying under influence of sun or wind or both. That means drying can be done either with sun or wind. Wind doesn't mean the natural one, okay? It has to be a blow of hot air. Dehydration, on the other hand, is a process of removal of moisture by the application of artificial heat under controlled conditions of temperature, humidity. No, go to that physical method only. Yeah. Still one more slide ahead. Physical method. Yes, leave it at that. Now, what are the things which you need to take care while drying? Drying using natural conditions. It will involve collection, storage, and preservation by drying the harvest. What is the main purpose of drying? You remove the moisture from the food so that microorganisms cannot grow on it. Second, very important, as I told you earlier, 90% of food material, especially vegetables and fruits, they have water. So if there is large amount of water present, they occupy space. So when you dry it, 1 kg of onion, it is for you to calculate how less it will become and how much less space it will occupy once the moisture is removed. The storage space needed becomes less, transportation becomes easy, and definitely the shelf life also increases because moisture is not available, it will not get spoiled. They can be transported long distances without the need for any refrigeration. Now, fruits and vegetables selected for drying should be of the best quality. You cannot have the produce which is thrown out and then you are thinking of preserving them. No way. You must collect the best material for drying and for long-term preservation. They should be fresh, ripe, as drying does not improve the quality. If you take an immature produce, it will lack flavor. It will not have the required color, that means the desired color. And the produce may be fibrous and mucilaginous and will not be accepted by the consumer. If the food is not perfect for eating, it is also not suitable for drying. Any fruit or vegetable can be safely dried, but some may just not taste very good. That means it may not have the same taste like your fresh produce, but then they may have the flavor. So you can have an onion powder to give you the required flavor if onions are not available. Can you think about one more flavor? Just go and pick up any of the soup which is available, and on the packet they would have written dried mushroom powder for imparting flavor. So flavor is also an important aspect for any food material. There are three components for food. It should smell good because your hunger, it becomes your habit. When you smell food, you feel hungry, you want to eat. What does it remind you of? Starbucks coffee. They have a large roasted basket of coffee beans, and you smell them and you feel like drinking coffee. I'm sure some of you feel like drinking coffee right away. And please don't yawn. Any fruit or vegetable can be safely dried. Dried vegetables can be used as chips. You can reconstitute it to form soup or make it in the form of a powder so that it can be used as a natural colorant. What is a good example there? Beet powder. Beet powder is added to give a very beautiful color for sauce. All the soups, tomatoes are comparatively more expensive, so you can have beet powder as a natural colorant. There are many more examples. One example you can take of annatto powder, which gives that nice color to Amul butter, right? Homemade butter is white, but Amul butter has the very nice color, lipid soluble pigment known as bixin. What are the nutritional changes? What did I say? That all vegetables provide us with bulk, indigestible fibers. Why they are important? Because you need to consume fiber. They will give you a feeling of satiation. That means you will feel that you are full. You will not eat. At the same time, the soluble fiber will absorb a lot of water, and it will result in very easy bowel movement. So those who use lot of roughage or vegetable and fruits in their diet, I'm sure they are not going to be constipated. So early morning, your bowels will be very easy and you'll never have any problem. But then they are also important component for your flora. See, all microflora is not bad. You require some good microflora in your intestine, and you have to take care of them, and that will thrive only when you have a lot of fibers in your diet. But then I think it will also bring to one important aspect. Have you ever eaten a lot of beans? Beans contain, I'm talking about rajma and all those categories. So what do you have? You have a lot of gases. Why do you have those gases? Because your microbial flora are very happy with the fibers, and then you have a lot of gas also because of the anaerobic fermentation which has occurred, and you get generation of gas. Too much of fiber, you have to also take care of that aspect. Now, how do you prepare the food before it is drying? I cannot keep one tomato in the sun and say, come on, dry. It's going to take a while. You have to prepare the food which has to be dried. So what you have to do is cut it into thin slices. How do you make those potato chips? You have a grater which will uniformly grate those chips. And remember, do they put them directly? No, they are putting it in water. What is water doing there? Cleaning. At the same time, oxygen has very less solubility in water, due to which browning will be prevented. They also add aluminate so that polyphenol oxidase enzyme will be inhibited, due to which there won't be tissue browning. It is again very important because you don't want chips to look brown. You want the chips to look golden colored. And when I say chips, you remember frozen veggies which McDonald's have. They deep fry it within no time and serve you hot. So that is also a long-term preserved potatoes. So before drying, the food has to be prepared and the fruit has to be pre-treated. They have to be trimmed properly. Only the edible portion should be kept. They have to cut into thin slices or in cubes. You might have seen canned fruits. They are all in cubes or in proper sizes. A good size is 1/4 inch thick. The peeling can also be kept because they can be used for making some cosmeceuticals, and at the same time they are ready for further treatment. Now, what do you mean by pre-treatment? You have to give a pre-treatment so that minimal loss of vitamins take place. Very often during storage also, you might have seen that these produce dry. And there is a change in color. If you keep in a refrigerator, these capsicums will start shrinking, right? Because they have lost some amount of water and their color also undergoes a change. There is a change in flavor. And to prevent all this, sometimes the vegetable and fruits have to be pre-treated. A common method, not highly recommended, is to expose them to sulfur fumes. So they can be exposed to sulfur fumes, and DP, you have to still keep it at the physical method. I have not come to the chemical method at all. I'm just telling in details. An indoor treatment can also be done by dipping it in some preservative. However, care should be taken that the person who is giving the pre-treatment is not unnecessarily exposed to these fumes. Now let us see what are different types of drying. Natural drying, sun drying. Eternal source of energy, and this energy can be best exploited. India is a tropical country. You have brilliant sunshine during the summer months, and sun drying is recommended worldwide because it's a natural method. You can do it in the month when sunshine is available in plenty, and whatever little area is available where sun comes, if it's a balcony or your terrace or a small water tank area, the sheet which is there, you can use that for a drying your material. You can invest on small trays and protect against insects and birds. Remember my Kala Parandi to take care of the insects and birds scorching. Sometimes you're too much in a hurry. Harsh, intense sunlight, it's going to dry quickly. No way. It'll become, it'll dry, but at the same time, it will get burnt and you will not be able to consume it, or you cannot use it further. Now, for that, when you have an industrial process, they prefer artificial drying because the conditions can be controlled. So in artificial drying, the conditions are controlled. You can control the temperature level, you can control the duration depending upon the water content of your produce. So oven drying. So there are large industrial ovens which are available, and they have these trays which can be used for drying. It's a good choice when you want to dry about 3 kg or food material. I'm again repeating, it's about vegetables and we are talking about, and we are also talking about condiments, spices. The disadvantage is that it is energy. It requires energy, and in the areas where the bill the costly process, and then you'll have to shift the tray. So the second method, mainly if you have leafy vegetables And I didn't want to use this example, but however, I will use it. Tobaccos. Tobaccos are mainly dried using hot air drying. And where the leaves are all kept, all the leaves dry, because the entire leaves are also required in some cases, and at that time, hot air drying is the preferred technique. So the principal factor takes into account is temperature, dryness, and velocity of air. So if it's going to be very high, then it's going to blow away all the material. When it becomes dry, you don't want to do that. There are many equipments which are available. There are mechanized method for sorting, washing, peeling, trimming of fruit, because size does matter, because you want it to look the way you want when it is kept on the table. Now, solar energy mainly used to heat air which passes over food in separate chamber, and fuel can also be used to heat air, but it becomes more expensive. Now, this is followed with sulfur dioxide fumes, or by dipping it in a mild preservative like sodium metabisulfate. We'll be learning about it more in the next session. Sometimes this also gives a slight bleaching effect, so it takes care of the quality of the color. In case of vegetable, most of the vegetables are air dried, because you don't want to destroy all the vitamins which are present. A preferred method over air drying is vacuum drying. So in case of vacuum drying, what you do is you use atmospheric pressure, and in presence of this vacuum, there is no air, it's vacuum, right? So there is high temperature, and it reduces the rate of oxidation of very valuable constituents like vitamin C. So some fruits like peaches and apricots, they are mainly vacuum dried. See, you call them as dry fruit. Actually, they are not dry fruits, but they are basically fruits which have been preserved so that they have a long shelf life. And very often, these are all vacuum dried. There can be osmotic drying. What do you mean by osmotic drying? You and I can give a very good example, murabba. What do you do that? You have your Indian gooseberry, amla, and this amla is soaked in very heavy or strong sugar solution. So it's hypertonic. So whenever you have a sugar solution or any solution for that matter, if the osmotic pressure within the cell and outside is same, you say isotonic. But if the osmotic pressure is less, you say hypotonic. And if it is more, you say hypertonic. Very simple. If I put something in pure water, water will enter inside. But if I put the produce, same thing. If I put it in a sugar solution, water is going to come out. Or if I put it in salt, then also water will come out. So you know the mechanisms, exosmosis and osmosis, right? And in isotonic, there'll be a balance. There'll be no net change in the water. So during this pre-treatment, the amount of water which is lost is less, not more. Its moisture is lost, and the syrup enters, and it gives a proper taste, color, and texture. Then it also gives some amount of protection, because we will be looking at sugar as one of the preservatives in the later part of the session. You can also have candied fruit, or you can crystallize. So you can place the fruit in hot syrup for 15 to 20 minutes and leave it for cooling. Allow soaking for 24 hours. And after this, the same fruit is placed in more concentrated syrup. The process is repeated several times. You might have seen, we don't have cherry throughout the year, but then you do get the cherry as a topping on ice creams and on cake. And how did you get them? By using this technique. When you go and ask for a pineapple raita, when there is no pineapple available, then how do they give you? They have a candied fruit there where the pineapple is sliced and soaked in sugar syrup, and then later on, as required, it is taken out. The next technique in physical method I'm talking about is freeze drying. And what do you mean by freeze drying? And nowadays, freeze drying is highly evolved, and it is also a very, very popular technique. It involves dehydration at temperature below freezing point of that food material. The original freshness is retained. And when they are packed properly, they can be stored even at room temperature. Tomatoes, sweet potatoes are preserved by freeze drying. Peas, you get those peas which are packed. We'll be talking a little bit about packaging also in the next session when we meet next Sunday. But remember, packaging is also a very important component of this entire post-harvest technology. Freeze drying can be used to dehydrate sensitive, high-value liquid food, such as juices, and why not coffee? Cold coffee can also be freeze-dried and then consumed as and when you want it. It is specially suited for dry, solid food of high value. For example, strawberries, again seasonal fruit, mushrooms, when they are available in plenty, they can be freeze-dried. Freeze-drying preserves its original taste, color, flavor, as well as its appearance. Material such as juice is first frozen on trays, and then later on they are kept in containers where there is the oxygen has been removed. That means there is an inert atmosphere. This material dries directly by sublimation of ice. Remember, you don't want ice formation. Try one simple experiment. Put the tomato that you have in the freezer and take it out tomorrow. What will happen? It is going to be really hard. But the moment it thaws, that means you bring it to room temperature, it's going to become all mushy. Why it has become mushy? Ice occupies more space. So the water has become ice, and then what it has done? It has ruptured all the membranes, due to which all the tissue has been damaged, and you have to just throw the tomato. It is no more you can eat it. So you don't want that to happen when you are freezing the material. So that care has to be taken. Now, what is the technique employed while freezing? During freezing also protects from microorganisms, because at that temperature, the microorganisms cannot thrive or they do not multiply. So very low temperatures are hostile environment for these microorganisms, because all the enzymatic activities are hindered, and as a result, they are not able to act upon the nutrients which are available on these produce. Certain products like sweet corn, bean, asparagus, some amount of treatment has to be given to stop the enzymatic activity. The rate of chilling is very important. If freezing is slow, large ice crystal will develop, as I mentioned earlier, which will fracture the tissue cell, and it will become soft due to which it is no more fit for consumption. The basic principle of rapid freezing is to remove the water content rapidly by different methods. Again, what are the methods? Cold air blast. That means the way you had a hot air blast, you can have cold air blast. This is a commonly adopted technique. There is an equipment to blow cold air, and this is one of the cheapest technique. Still, air freezing is cheapest. It has an advantage. The cold air is of a temperature between 3 to 4 degrees centigrade, and there is a velocity which is decided depending upon the material which has to be frozen. Still further, if they have more money, you can have a liquid immersion. The product to be frozen is placed in a cooling liquid which should be non-toxic, non-corrosive, low viscosity, should have a high thermal conductivity. It can be wrapped in a cryoprotectant like polypropylene glycerol or a salt solution. Normally, 15% sodium chloride is used for dipping the material, and sodium chloride also acts as a good preservative. Plate freezer, that on which the vessel to be frozen can be kept, and cooling coils are located within the interior of the metal plate. Nitrogen can also be used. Nitrogen has